first I got an email, I did see that the library board, named their members, Mary, Hubbard, Nugent, Christina Murphy, Santa Consiglio, and a backup, and they sent a letter to, the Troy, chief officers, the Seeger, myself, and Kendall, asking, to participate in, their meetings that are gonna be coming up here shortly. It's still in the discovery phase here, cause it has to do with a separate development, that whereby, the library would be actually built by somebody else and we just pay rent. So being that how everybody's questioning everything that happens around this place, I said, I'm about to start going to another meeting here without having this as a point of discussion, you know, at our board meeting, if you want me to serve on that committee, or if you wanted to. I already been dealing, with the Troy issues for many years, as well as the library for probably 10. So I wouldn't have a problem serving on that committee, but I wanted to bring it in front of the board. So you seen the letter?
I have, I read the email.
Okay,
Everybody got a copy of the letter in their packets.
yep. So that's why I wanted it on the agenda. I think it's a good idea, and I think, you know, searching out where this is going, sounds like the best plan that's come forward in
I
a
agree.
long time,
I
you know?
agree.
So,
I like that.
I would need, board authorization for me to serve on that committee.
Authorize Chairman Parkowski to serve on the, Heritage Library Committee.
I'll second.
Alright, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries, I'll notify them that they can schedule a meeting now, I don't know if it's gonna be virtual or in person, or some combination thereof, but, board says, yes, proceed. Okay, organization systems for office, what is that?
I believe I was thinking that perhaps we would, enlist the use of, company like California Closet to give us some suggestions as to how to reorganize the, administrative section to maximize the space that we have and make it seem less congested. I know when I work in a chaotic environment, it takes away from my productivity, and I was just wondering if something like that might make it more, easier for Kim and Chris and Joanne to do their daily jobs.
That's,
Yep, we're sure, no, your thought.
We need help. There's gotta be a better way to set things up. I mean, I did get a little like 4 square bookshelf that's really helped with the election stuff right now. But since we've gotten so many absentees, we're back to boxes on the floor, ballots and stuff like that.
It's
So-
like a mouse trap or a maze back there.
yeah, I understand. Yeah, I think we should at least have somebody, come and look and tell us what it would take, you
Yeah,
know?
I mean, to design some kind of modular system.
Or tell us how to rearrange stuff, or you know, perhaps even reorganizing what we have.
Well, like cabinetry and stuff like that, just, there's gotta be a better way. There's gotta be a better way.
Okay, you have a firm in mind?
I was thinking maybe California Closets, I don't know who else does it, I think,
And that paper we get every week.
Close that door back there, please.
The ads,
I'm telling people that.
you know, California Closet.
there's client closets by design,
Closets by
Okay,
design.
so I've seen ads for that, like in that weekly flyer paper we all
We
get.
could have them come in and take a look here and give
Yeah,
us a proposal.
you know, just give us a proposal, or, you know, if they verbally gave us some suggestions, it doesn't mean that we're gonna contract with them, but maybe they would spark some,
And that's not currently on our list of improvements.
you know,
proposal, but, I think I'll make a motion that we authorize, Barb, can you call? Yes, please, authorize Barb to, make a call to California Closet or someone similar to provide a proposal for, organizational ideas in the administrative area. That's the motion.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Attorney's report,
Question,
Joe,
is it possible to amend this agenda and to put a public comments in right before we do the attorney's reports? Because there's two things in this section here that I'd like to ask a couple questions before you get into them.
since we're down to the last item and we're not crazy time yet, if somebody wants to speak on a particular, item that the attorney is presenting, we'll allow that.
Okay.
I don't think he's commenting on what I have to report.
No, I just have a couple questions on two of the items that are on the last four that are left on number 11 here. And I just wanted to see if we could have public comments on that particular stuff before he goes into his, down his list.
Okay, Jim,
Take them at the time.
Right.
that's what I was saying.
Or you wanna take them at the time?
Yes.
I just wanna be able to get public comments
Yes.
in. Okay,
Yes.
fair enough, carry on.
Okay. Proceed.
The first is, Kim put on, I need authorization to draft the resolution regarding 2021 garbage charges.
I'll authorize Attorney Mills to draft garbage and recycling charge resolution for the 2021 garbage charges.
Sorry.
Alright, and under, discussion, nobody had any comments on that?
I have a comment on that.
You have a comment on garbage?
Yeah.
Crap, go ahead.
I called John's Disposal, because I had concerns about how they pick up. And it was explained to me when I spoke to them that John's Disposal has a contract with the town that only allows for no driver getting out of the truck pickup. So in other words, if it can't be picked up by the arm that throws it into the truck, you can't put something out there. In previous years, before we had John's, if you set something outside near it or whatever, it was allowed that the driver could get out quickly, take it, and throw it in the truck. Well, now, because we have a contract with them that excludes the driver getting out of the truck.
That's a big pickup once a month.
That's all pickup once a month.
Yeah, but they used to pick up whatever you put out there
No,
within reason.
Probably cheaper
We
too.
don't do that. No, we have like, once a month you can call, I did it several times and I'll tell you
And
when.
it's included, they take just
I
about
know that
anything.
since COVID, City of Economowoc has John's too. They have made changes and instructed drivers not to do what they used to do. But what they are doing now is, at least in our community, as long as the driver can lift it to put it into your
Right.
garbage can, that they can then lift the garbage can, they will still do that.
Well, I mean, like if you have 3 extra bags of garbage that don't fit in your barrel, I'm not talking about for a couch or a washer or dryer or something. I'm just talking about like extra garbage. If it doesn't fit in the barrel, you're screwed. You either have to sit till next week, and you're not going to call a special pickup for 3 bags of garbage. I mean, that's kind of ridiculous.
Right.
So I just wondering what we have negotiated with them.
No, but he's right, they don't pick up anything, it's gotta be in the can.
Yep.
It is.
I had that problem. My husband puts extra stuff out, John, and they didn't pick it up. They picked up the garbage.
Right. Well, is that something that we can negotiate with them to say?
But we have a 5-year contract
Oh,
and.
never mind.
Well,
and
Even
if
if your
you got-
lid is open all the way, as long as it's in the receptacle, they'll still have to take it.
Right, but
You
if you
can't
have a
close your
full,
lid.
if you have a full can and you've got 2 extra bags that are sitting
Just
like right in the
stick it
ground there.
on top
Stick it
of
on top of
What's already.
what's already in there.
we have to have covered the-
If they fall off, I guess they're gonna have to get out of their truck.
But don't jam it down too tight, it won't come out of the garbage can.
We had my husband did the same thing 2 weeks ago, so I.
All right. Well, I just thought it was worth. When is
It's
our
not just you.
when is our contract up with those guys?
It was
we have
just
a
renewed
really good
for-
Contract, three.
23, the end of 23.
Good.
All right, on the motion, all in favor say aye.
I,
Aye, motion carried. Ordinance 2020-6.
Yes, if you could pass, take one and pass, please. This is regarding the request the last couple months about Miramar subdivision and the parks and parking. It's ordinance 2020-6, an ordinance amending sections 10.05010 and 10.20040 of the Town of East Troy Municipal Code regarding parking regulations. It reads, the Town Board of the Town of East Troy, Walworth County, Wisconsin, does hereby ordain as follows. 1. That section 10.05010 sub 2 is hereby amended to add the following authority. That's section 349.06 of the Wisconsin statutes. 2. That section 10.20040 is hereby amended as follows. We're adding a section 20. Parking at the parking lot or lots in Miramar subdivision is restricted to Miramar property owners who display in plain sight a parking permit issued by the Miramar Property Owners Association. Said restricted parking shall only be enforced if the Miramar Property Owners Association has erected signs in the parking lot or lots of the Miramar subdivision parks indicating for whom parking is permitted pursuant to Wisconsin statute 346.55, sub 4. All italicized language is new. Any section of this ordinance not modified by italicized language or identified for deletion remains unchanged. 4. This ordinance shall become effective upon its passage and publication as provided by law. The reason why they have to erect signs is in order for the town to have any enforcement in that area, they have to follow the state statute that we're getting our authority from.
We have to waive the second reading. I move that we waive the second reading.
Ordinance 2020-6.
Yes.
Second.
We have motion and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Need a motion to approve this ordinance?
I move that we approve ordinance 2020-6.
All right, we have motion and second, was there any comments from the public on this ordinance?
Did they be ticketed?
That's the whole
That's
idea is,
why we're doing it.
Okay.
all right.
There's a gentleman.
Just had a quick question. Kind of have a similar situation going on ourselves in our neighborhood, so is this something that we could look into to try to do the same thing in order to let law enforcement? Because it's private property now, is that what this is all about? Like, if we're all members of an association just like that?
It's probably the same issue.
Yeah, I'm just saying, is there something else that you can do with other areas that are very similar to that for access to the lake?
It may be, depending on the facts of your situation. If they're similar, it could possibly be done.
There's just a lot of people that don't own it, don't belong there, the liability is starting to get crazy, so, thank you.
All right, any other comments? Okay, on the motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
The next issue listed is, ordinance 2020-4, amending section 8.25 of the Town of East Troy Municipal Code regarding outdoor burning. This was read, I believe, 2 months ago, and then it was tabled for more public comment, and then last month, it was corrected and asked to be put on the website, I believe, for additional comments. So I'd ask that the board waive a second reading of this ordinance, just because it's 5 pages long. And I don't know if you've heard anything or not.
I did. I got one phone call.
I got one also.
Yeah, I put it on the website after you sent it to me, and we got no feedback at the town hall.
Okay.
I did. The only suggestion that I received was the time period for burning. I believe the time period is set for no earlier than 10 o'clock. And I had at least one phone call that said, sometimes the wind is less earlier in the morning, and wondered if 8 o'clock would be too early to allow for burning, because that would be conducive to the wind conditions.
It depends if it's a burn pile, or if it's a campfire, or if it's a bonfire.
They
Burn
were
barrel.
talking about a burn pile, burning brush.
Okay.
I think legally, there's not a restriction prohibiting that.
Okay.
And my phone call was from Jim Hartwell, is he here? There's Jim Hartwell here? Well, Jim called and said, he had a concern that as soon as this is passed, there'll be 300 violations on Lake Beulah alone. And I asked him, why? And he says, well, most people have the bonfire pit down by the lake, and if they have a boathouse, which a lot of them have some type, he said even a pier is flammable. And on page 3, it makes reference to 25 feet from any combustible material or structure. He says, well, if it's a wood pier, that's combustible. If it's a boathouse, that's combustible. He says away from a residence, probably 25 feet is probably a good idea. But,
That may have came from the model ordinance,
Is it?
I'm not sure,
yeah, I think it did.
from the DNR.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's several ways you can look at this, we're gonna read this and have a discussion, but there's 2 ways you can do this. One, you do it so the chief's got something to enforce correctly, and see how it works. You can always rescind an ordinance, right, it ain't no big deal, you just get rid of it. Or, we can, let this ride a little bit more for more public input, which I think we've given once now. And 3, the whole idea of this is similar to, like, why do you have speed limits, right? It's for the people that don't have any common sense, and if you have it to a point where it's totally identified, then it's something that can be ticketed and can go to court. My gut on this whole thing is this too much? That's my personal feeling on it. It's like, really? I mean,
Well, if you think my 4.5 page ordinance is too much, the model ordinance that I was taking some of these provisions for is 18 pages.
all right, we're going to read it, and then, we'll have a discussion.
He doesn't want to read it.
Well, we're gonna wait a second, we have to read it once. and we're
No, it's
gonna-
already.
We already read it.
It's already been read
What do you mean?
last
You
month.
read
2
a couple
months ago,
meetings
I
ago.
was
It doesn't need to be read.
just changing of to from or for,
Yeah,
um,
it was minor.
it was,
Typo, kind
Right,
of.
I know you got the one there.
Yeah. There were a couple ofs, we added in away, 250 feet away, and between, from
Okay.
Right.
to between, that was really the only language changes.
All right,
Oh, and then we added chief of police, fire chief, chief of police are authorized to enforce.
okay, all right. Anybody got comments on this one? Yeah.
Just one. If the chief gets a call or somebody calls the police and says, hey, this guy's got a 12-foot fire 20 feet from somebody's house, obviously you should go and ticket him. Other than that, if somebody doesn't call, I don't agree that if a police officer is driving by and sees a 6-foot fire somewhere, he should stop and write somebody a ticket. That's my concern about the whole thing, because if there's a complaint, I understand, but if there's not, and he's just driving by and sees, because I've had that happen, he just drove by and wrote me a ticket, didn't even talk to me about it, and that's my concern.
Wasn't there- I'm sorry, but wasn't there a paint can involved?
It wasn't burning. There was water in the paint can, I let it fill up with rain. He never asked me about it, he ticketed me first, and then asked. I got the ticket as I walked out the door.
Was this a bonfire type of deal?
Yes, it was.
Okay, all right. Well, like I stated before, I don't, in my view, we'll go looking for this stuff, it's complaint driven. You had one that was, right, the one that I told you about, the berm there?
Yep.
And, I got a whole pile of them, to tell you the truth, not about you, and others.
Yeah, no, I
Where people are, they don't sign their name on it.
well, then you know what, if somebody doesn't wanna sign their name or tell who it is, then the complaint should fall on
Yeah,
that.
I hear you, and I had a discussion about that with Bob Miller, the previous,
Yes,
chairman, and I said, what did you do with that? He said, he said early on, he said, I was doing my job, I get a complaint, I look at it, have the police look at it, whatever, but he says that he got caught in a couple things like that, he says after that, he told the person, if you can't sign it,
yeah.
I don't
I
even
would
think
agree.
that, go look for it.
Yeah, same thing with the police, if somebody calls and complains, they should have to tell their name, and then they come and tell us, hey, okay, your neighbor complained, okay, hey, I'll shut it down, no problem.
Doesn't work.
Well, again,
I understand that would be ideal, especially for me when I have to prosecute these violations. It'd be nice to have a witness, or a complainant, but I don't believe that's how police
I
departments
understand,
are run.
it's retaliation,
Right.
you're worried about retaliation, I understand that, but then, I don't know what the answer is, but giving everybody, just if he sees a 4 foot or a 6 foot fire, well, I'm writing you a ticket just because he's driving by and sees it, I don't agree with that either. Especially if you have the property, I'm not saying, 25 feet from somebody's house, or
Right.
your neighbor's
If
house.
you're you're away from a place, you have a burn pit, you're 200 feet away from your house, and everything's cool, and a cop drives by, and you're not bothering anybody. it's-
Well, now there's limitations as to what tickets could even be issued. I think that's one of the reasons why you would ask that we have a burn ordinance, because our other one didn't really contain the restrictions in here. So now if a call comes in, they can say, well, we have an ordinance.
Yeah,
That doesn't
well.
rise to a level where we can even issue a citation for anything.
They came up with one for me. That
I
was
think
one
that's
that you had to
before
look,
we
you
had
had
this.
never seen before. You told
I
me,
had not seen one of those before.
and you had to look the state statute up.
Yep.
Yes, so they came up with one.
No, it was on the books.
I'm
There
not
was one
saying
on
that-
the books, but.
I'm not saying it was on the
wasn't.
books, but the attorney had never seen it before. And
I
again,
didn't see
the
everything.
officer never talked to me before he issued the ticket, which was the problem that I had.
Anybody else on Montpelier, this ordinance, anybody else?
Well, to be fair, I think in the Old Town Code Book, there's an ordinance that you can't be lazy or